questions you have, but we have also many topics. So I don't know if you want to start with something in particular or you want to.
Yeah, I would recap before entering on Olise, on Zirze. I see many questions in the chat. So guys, we will go on all the details. But before entering every single, we can't hear you. They say. Oh, good. I hope you can, guys. Should be all good. Okay. Let me see. Let me know if you can hear me. I saw some message. We can.
Yeah,
okay. No, I was saying I wanted to recap something before entering on Olise and all the other stuff. First of all, congratulations to Bayer Leverkusen for their first signing, now official. Alex Garcia was here we go yesterday, 18 million euros, 2 in advance. So new midfielder for Xabi Alonso, Alex Garcia. Lot of movements on the managers, guys. And let me say congratulations to Olympique Marseille, because OM are about to complete a deal for Roberto De Zerbi as new manager. Roberto De Zerbi has been in the rumors for many jobs. I still remember about Liverpool. Then we had rumors about Chelsea, Manchester United. He was one of the candidates for Manchester United job alongside Thomas Tuchel. But Roberto De Zerbi is on the verge of becoming the new head coach of Olympique Marseille. There is an agreement between Marseille, the president Pablo Longoria, the director Mehdi Benatia, all together working on this fantastic appointment. And so the agreement is imminent. 3-year contract for Roberto De Zerbi. What's needed now is Olympique Marseille to agree on compensation clause with Brighton. 6 million euros is the price of the exit clause, but Marseille are already on it. There are already contacts ongoing, and so Olympique Marseille are going for Roberto De Zerbi, and this is going to be a massive appointment in a crazy summer for managers. We know the big story of the week was Erik ten Hag staying at Manchester United, obviously with the contract extension in discussion, and so now we will enter into all your questions.
Yeah, it was also a big week for managers, in particular because today also AC Milan announced the new coach, Paulo Fonseca, as the new manager for the next 3 years. Also Juventus yesterday announced Thiago Motta. So big week for managers. And also talking about managers, today there was another big news.
Yeah, there was the big news on Borussia Dortmund, while I see many Juventus fans asking here in the chat about Douglas Luiz.
We will talk about it.
We will be on that, in few minutes, but yes. And what's important to say, it's on Borussia Dortmund that they decided to part ways with Edin Terzic. So Edin Terzic is no longer the coach, and they are about to appoint Nuri Sahin, who was already in the backroom staff with Edin Terzic, but is the main candidate to become the new head coach of Borussia Dortmund. So work in progress for Nuri Sahin to be the new manager. Here we go with some news, because for Borussia Dortmund, this will have an impact on the market of Borussia Dortmund. I wanted to start mentioning Mats Hummels, the situation between Hummels and Borussia Dortmund former manager now, Edin Terzic. Despite the excellent performances of Hummels in Champions League, behind the scenes was a really complicated and tense situation between Terzic and Hummels. Now, Terzic is out, but it doesn't mean that Hummels is staying. The information we have is that Hummels is still expected to leave Borussia Dortmund as free agent. Hummels wants to continue in Europe. He doesn't want to go to Saudi, to MLS. He was approached last week from a Saudi club to open discussions. He didn't even want to talk. He wants to stay in Europe, and so keep an eye on Mats Hummels, because he will leave Borussia Dortmund as free agent, barring any surprise. And so the expectation is for Hummels to be available as free agent. The impact could be also on Jan Madsen deal, and here we go for Chelsea fans, because Madsen is now back to Chelsea after loan deal to Borussia Dortmund. We know Borussia Dortmund didn't have a buy option clause, but there is a release clause into the contract of Jan Madsen, £35 million. He signed a new deal at Chelsea in January, and now the clause is valid, £35 million. Madsen was super happy at Borussia Dortmund, super happy with the club, but the important part of the story for Jan Madsen is that now, with Terzic leaving, Madsen could also consider other possibilities. He was really keen on staying at Borussia Dortmund, but especially with Edin Terzic as coach. Now there is going to be a different coach, and so he will also explore other options. So the story between Madsen and Borussia Dortmund could change. For Dortmund, the priority target as striker remains, also without Terzic, Serhou Guirassy, 18 million euros, 17.5 release clause, and so a big opportunity.
Let's try to answer some of the questions we have in the chat. I see also questions in other languages, also in Italian, Roma fan, but we will have different sessions also for the Italian fans, because we will have also a session in Italian, another one in Spanish. So we talk about it in many languages. A lot of questions about Olise.
Let's go on Olise. Let's explain a bit the situation of Olise. Yes. Yeah, because there are many things happening around Chelsea, as we already mentioned in the recent days. For Chelsea, The two negotiations ongoing at this point are Olise with Crystal Palace and John Duran with Aston Villa. Let me start with John Duran, because between Chelsea and John Duran and Chelsea and Aston Villa, the contacts are on daily basis. Even today, yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and even today, contacts ongoing between Chelsea and Aston Villa and between Chelsea and Chelsea and John Duran. Juventus are involved in a story with Aston Villa, but we will talk about that in a bit. So what's going on for John Duran? The player wants to go to Chelsea, but now Chelsea need to agree on the salary, the contract length, commission to the agent, so the whole player package has to be agreed. So Duran wants to go to Chelsea. He's giving priority to Chelsea over other clubs. There are also other clubs involved in the race for John Duran, but he wants to wait for Chelsea. He wants to go to Chelsea. Then there is also the club side, because we know that Aston Villa approached Chelsea a few weeks ago to ask for Conor Gallagher as part of a potential negotiation, but Gallagher doesn't want to go anywhere in this moment of the market. He wants to focus on the Euros, he wants to focus on England, and so Gallagher at the moment is not involved in the negotiations between Aston Villa and Chelsea. Could be one to watch in the next months, not now. So what's the point? Villa and Chelsea are discussing about Duran fee. What I'm hearing and what I can share with you here tonight is that this deal will probably happen only in case they will include players into the negotiation. So I don't see this deal happening just for money, at least as of now. They need to include a player in this deal. This is the feeling of parties. So negotiations ongoing, Chelsea, Aston Villa for John Duran. The player wants the club, but players to be included are needed as part of this story, at least one player. So let's see what Villa and Chelsea will be able to do. But negotiations ongoing for John Duran. For Michael Olise, one of the big stories of the day, not new the interest of Chelsea, let me say. Last summer, Olise was almost a Chelsea player. Then Crystal Palace, with a fantastic work of Dougie Friedman, were able to change the story, extend his contract, and keep the player at the club. But Chelsea, in November, in December, in January, in February, in March, they spent a lot of time around Michael Olise. They consider Michael Olise a top target for the summer. And so what I'm hearing is that Chelsea keep considering Olise a top priority for this summer. Chelsea, but also other clubs, because he's in the list of Manchester United, he's in the list of Newcastle, it's true, he's in the list of clubs from abroad. Manchester City liked the player, he was top of the list for City last summer after Doku, who was the main target, and they signed him. But Man City at the moment have different priorities on the market, so it's not something imminent with Manchester City from what I'm hearing. So what's the point for Olise? Chelsea today have had a direct contact with Crystal Palace to tell them, okay, let's explain the situation of the release clause. Let me say this, guys. It's a really complicated release clause. It's not a normal release clause. You go there, you pay, and you get the player. It's not like that. It's a complicated clause. It's true, as Telegraph reported today, that some sources believe that this clause is only valid for Champions League clubs. So in this case, would not be valid for Newcastle, for Chelsea, for Manchester United. This is why the situation could be different. But what I'm hearing is that Chelsea wanted to go today to Crystal Palace to have a direct contact because they wanted the green light to go and negotiate with Michael Olise. So Chelsea believe that the crucial part of the story is to agree on personal terms with Olise and to bring Olise at a point to say to Crystal Palace, okay, Chelsea are prepared to pay the same amount of the release clause. So I want to go to Chelsea. This is the mission for Chelsea. They want to make it happen, and Chelsea will go really strong on Michael Olise once again after last summer. So Chelsea have started now the operation Olise. Newcastle, Man United, and other clubs are still in the race. Let's see what's going to happen. It's still early stages. It's not something imminent. But today, Chelsea made a big step because they want to enter in direct contact with the player and try to get closer on personal terms. They consider that part of the story. This is the strategy, at least. We will see if it will work. But that part of the story is the crucial one to make this deal happen.
All right. So I think we talk. You gave us a very good understanding of what's going on with that. So let's go to other topics. I will say, also looking at the questions in the chat.
Remember, guys, for about the questions, that if you subscribe to the channel and if you download the app, so if you are part of the Playback family, you can ask the questions, as you can see. So keep going.
Exactly, for free as always. So it's important to mention that as well. Question about, let's move to Spain. I see a lot of questions about João Felix as well. So I don't know if you want to update us with the latest on him. If you have something.
This is a nice
You're smiling, so I don't know if that's a...
This is a nice question, because I can tell you that today, among my calls in the afternoon, João Felix was mentioned for a club that is not Barcelona. But I can't say anything else at this point because it's something that at the moment is not happening. So I'm not going to share this one. But remember our first stream ever here on Playback, because I think at the end of the transfer window, or when Joao Felix will join his next club, so probably Barcelona, because Barcelona are still the absolute favorite to sign Joao Felix. But remember this stream, because one day we will take this part of the stream and we will say, you remember what happened that day? We will let you know that there was some movement around Joao Felix from another club, not from Spain, asking for the situation of Joao Felix. But again, I don't see this happening. On Joao Felix, I still see Barcelona as the absolute favorite to sign the player. Hansi Flick gave the green light to Joao Felix and Joao Cancelo, so he wants to keep them. Deco wants to keep them. Laporta, the president, wants to keep them. So I think now is a matter of negotiation between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, and also Barcelona and Man City for Cancelo, in order to get the green light and proceed with these two deals. But I still see Barcelona as the absolute favorites, also for the players, because Cancelo wants to play for Barca and Joao Felix wants to play for Barca.
Also, because talking about Joao Felix, I remember last year you were in a similar situation. That you knew something about Barcelona, but you couldn't tell for a long time. So
exactly. And then he told us, it was a nice exclusive interview.
Yes, exactly.
He said the story, not me.
yes. You tell me when you want to talk about Juve and Douglas Luiz. And
in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes. At 45, I have the green light. Yeah.
So let's go with some other questions first. I see a question about Palhinha, Bayern Munich.
He's the next top target for Bayern. So after they signed Ito, it was a surprising deal, but I think a very good addition for Bayern. 30 million euros. They triggered the clause from Stuttgart, so they have a new centre-back. And remember that Bayern are still working on Jonathan Tah, while I'm still getting the same message from Chelsea. Guys, I have many questions on Levy Colwill for Bayern, but I'm still told that Chelsea have no intention to entertain any negotiation for Levy Colwill. They're very strong in their statement about that, as they were also last summer when Liverpool were interested. So at the moment, I have nothing else to say. If the situation will change, I will let you know. But at the moment, Chelsea are very strong on their position for Levy Colwill. For Bayern, Jonathan Tah, top target as centre-back after Ito, and Palhinha, top target in the midfield. They already had a bid rejected, but they're still negotiating with Fulham. Let me say that Palhinha wants to go to Bayern. Palhinha is desperate to go to Bayern. And I wanted to say one thing. Palhinha has been special this year, because Palhinha was a new Bayern player on deadline day last summer. It was a 99.9 done deal. The player had the pictures, medical. He was almost announced as new Bayern player. Then the deal collapsed because Fulham were not able to find a replacement in time for Joao Palhinha. This was the real reason. So basically what happens now? Happens that Joao Palhinha at that point didn't disrespect Fulham. He always respected Fulham. He's been professional. He's been super serious. He never created any sort of problem. He extended his contract in September. Trust me, not so many players after missing on a move to Bayern decide to extend their contract and be happy at the club. Many other players would have asked for the possibility to leave the club in January. Palhinha has been serious, professional, staying at the club for the whole season, playing at fantastic level. Now Palhinha, after all of this, believes that it's the moment for Fulham to give the green light. Come his way. Obviously, they have to get their money, so we have to respect Fulham in this story. But at the same time, Palhinha wants to go to Bayern. Palhinha has an agreement with Bayern. There is nothing with Barcelona at this point, nothing ongoing with other clubs. Full focus on Bayern. Now it's on Bayern to close the deal with Fulham.
We are almost there. I don't know if you want to talk about the 3 minutes past, so I don't know if you
yeah. Just a second.
There is also talking about Juventus. We will talk about Juventus because Douglas Luiz, of course, is a Juventus target. You will mention him later. Also, Juventus are working on different targets because after they officially appointed Thiago Motta on Wednesday, there are rumors about Riccardo Calafiori as well, a former Thiago Motta player at Bologna.
It's super busy for Juventus, really. I think he's super busy, and it's going to be even busier in the next weeks because Cristiano Giuntoli, the director, together with Thiago Motta, is working on many deals. And as you mentioned, let's mention this one because the here we go for Douglas Luiz to Juventus is closer than ever. We are not there yet, and now we will explain why, but it's closer than ever because what we can say tonight is that Juventus and Douglas Luiz have completed the agreement on personal terms. So after the agreement almost reached between clubs, Aston Villa, and Juventus for Douglas Luiz. Now Douglas Luiz and his agent, Kia Jarabchan, have given the green light to Juventus. So the contract is ready, the salary is ready, everything is okay between Juventus and Douglas Luiz. Fantastic signing. What's missing to say, here we go. So let's explain the deal. Juventus will pay 20 million euros fee plus Weston McKennie and Samuel Ealing Jr. These are the two players that will go to Aston Villa as part of the deal. What's missing now is Weston McKennie to agree on his exit details with Juventus. McKennie is happy about Aston Villa. He just wants to clarify something about, the difference about the salary, what he has to get from Juventus for his exit. So there is still something pending between McKennie and Juventus to complete the deal and have the final green light to join Aston Villa. And also there is Samuel Ealing Jr. who wants to have, again, some more contact with Aston Villa to understand how important he will be in their project. He already had a contact with Unai Emery, from what I'm hearing. So he wants to understand how important he will be in the project in order to give it a green light. But everything is going in the right way. Douglas Luiz said yes to Juventus, and now waiting for Weston McKennie to approve the transfer in terms of exit from Juventus, and then everything will go through for Douglas Luiz as new Juventus midfielder. In my opinion, one of the best deals of the summer already in June.
We are in the middle of June, Fabrizio. It's a bit early, but
I know, but I'm really surprised because I think Juventus are doing a very good signing with Douglas Luiz, and let's see how Aston Villa will also react on. They had to sell. We have to say this. They are not selling Douglas Luiz because they don't like Douglas Luiz, of course, but because of financial fair play. You can see that in England the situation is tough for many clubs, not just Aston Villa.
Yes, and you mentioned, just to complete a bit about Italian Serie A and maybe also some potential Premier League clubs as well. You mentioned the agent of Douglas Luiz. The agent of Douglas Luiz is the same of Joshua Zirkzee, target for AC Milan and also other clubs involved. So how is the situation on him? Because there are many reports on this player. Today also Zlatan Ibrahimovic, during the press conference, he said publicly that, he didn't say that, but AC Milan are on the player. They want him. They want Zirkzee for the next season. So what's the latest on him, and what other clubs can be involved in negotiations?
Yeah, let's say, first of all, that I think there was a crucial moment in the market a few days ago. I'm really proud of that exclusive news because it really changed a bit the domino of the market, and this Benjamin Sesko. Sesko is going nowhere. Sesko extended his contract at Leipzig till 2029. There is a gentleman agreement for an exit in summer 25 and 26. So Sesko is no longer on the market. And this is a big change because clubs like Chelsea, clubs like Arsenal, clubs like Man United, these three clubs, all the others you saw in the media were never that concrete. But these three clubs were really serious and concrete, prepared to pay the clause, prepared to give Sesko what he wanted. So Chelsea, United, and Arsenal were really keen on signing Sesko. When Sesko is no longer on the market, means that these clubs have to find another option. And it's not easy to find strikers on the market in this moment. Unless you want to pay crazy money, in terms of a range around 40 million euros and 60 million euros, is not so easy. So this is why clubs are exploring possibilities. And when I mean exploring, is about asking informations about players. This is what many of them are doing. So when you see the links between Joshua Zirkzee and Manchester United, I can confirm that what Manchester United are doing is just asking how is the situation of Joshua Zirkzee in terms of salary, in terms of release clause, how to activate the release clause, how does it work with Bologna, 40 million euros, remember. So Man United, after the Sesko story, started asking information about Joshua Zirkzee. But on Joshua Zirkzee, we have to mention today again that Milan are the absolute front runners because Milan have an agreement on the salary with the player for less than 4 million euros, add-ons included, as part of the deal. So the salary is ready, the contract is ready, the player is excited about staying in Italy and joining AC Milan. Milan have started working on this deal months ago, not today, not yesterday, not last week. He's always been the top target. We saw Benjamin Sesko in the rumors, never close, never concrete. We saw many strikers linked with Milan move. The top target has always been Joshua Zirkzee. But now it's about closing the deal. Milan have to be fast if they want to make it happen, because some other clubs, with Sesko no longer on the market, can also activate the option for Zirkzee. But Milan are the absolute front runners. Let me say that once again. And they have the possibility to close the deal with player side, because they are discussing about the commissions, they are discussing about the details of the deal with player side. And so it's on Milan now. Man United asked for information in the recent days, as the Telegraph reported tonight. But I think the Zirze story will be really crucial to understand in the next days, because Milan have a match point, I would say, in this story.
And the player has been called up at the Euros, which wasn't before, and that might be also.
Let me say on this.
I know what you want to say.
I think if you don't call Zirze and Madsen, we are on a different planet. That's what I believe. I think both of them absolutely deserved it to be at the Euros. Maybe the numbers of Zirze in terms of goals were not exciting, but if you turn on the TV, you can see this is a special striker, and Madsen is a fantastic left back. So I think both of them deserve it to be at the beginning of this story in the squad for the Euros. But I'm happy they will be there with the Dutch national team.
Yeah, but also that can have repercussions. No, that was what I wanted to say, that AC Milan probably want to be quick right now, because if he makes good performance, that Euros can be an issue also for them. So let's see what happens in the next days, and let's move also to other topics. A lot of Premier League clubs here I see in the chat. I see Tottenham, I see Chelsea.
I see Mabaya in the questions in the questions in the chat saying don't ignore Liverpool comments when you look at the comments. My friend, I'm not ignoring, but you know that Liverpool have a completely different strategy compared to other clubs. So, for example, Liverpool are not busy with 100 of things every single day in the media. Liverpool are not like this. Liverpool like to work behind the scenes. Liverpool will sign a new centre-back, and Liverpool are working on that. So don't worry that Liverpool are doing their stuff, but they like to work like this. So it's more difficult for for us to understand on daily basis the Liverpool strategy. But when it's about negotiations, trust me, they are working on that. And same for Arsenal also. Arsenal are also working behind the scenes. So things will happen, don't worry.
Okay, let's move to other topics as well. We mentioned about Chelsea. I see a lot of questions about Alvarez, and his situation and his Manchester City situation. And many
Alvarez and Joro. I think we can discuss on these two topics.
Yes.
Yeah, because these are two big names on the
Let's start with Julian.
Yeah, I wanted to start with Julian Alvarez because while I'm told that I think the green light is coming really soon for Fabian Hürzeler as new manager of Brighton. So Brighton fans, get ready, because your new coach, the youngest in the history of Premier League, 31 years old, is coming soon to the club. But on Julian Alvarez, the situation is that the player, in a conversation with his agents and with Manchester City 2 weeks ago, was quite clear with City. He wants to play more. So he feels that he deserves and he wants to play more. It was not in a negative way, but just telling the club that as a young talent, he wants to play more and he feels it's moment for him to play more. What's the point? Manchester City consider Julian Alvarez a fantastic player, a crucial player, and they want to keep him at the club. So basically, what I'm hearing on this one is that Manchester City are still telling the player and his agent that they want to keep Julian Alvarez. When you saw some report over a potential loan deal, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Man City will not loan out Julian Alvarez. The only way is to pay big money and convince the player. This is the only way to make it happen. At the moment, yeah, it's going to be super difficult. Man City are really pushing to keep the player at the club. So I really think it's going to be a complicated one. But the only club making contact in a concrete and strong way after Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid know that with these financial conditions, it's going to be very difficult, very complicated to sign him, while Atletico Madrid are very close to sign Robin Lenormand as new centre-back. This is an important one. We will mention that in the next days. But the only club to really push for Julian Alvarez in the beginning of the stages of this story is Paris Saint-Germain, because Paris Saint-Germain already had a direct contact with the agents of the player. Paris Saint-Germain have genuine interest in Julian Alvarez, and Paris Saint-Germain, in case they believe there is going to be a door open from Manchester City at some point in the market, they believe that Julian Alvarez could be one of their targets. But again, at the moment, from Man City, the intention is to keep Julian. So let's see. Now he's focusing on the Copa America, but for sure Manchester City will fight to keep the player at the club.
We have the last 5 minutes for today, so let's mention some topics we didn't mention before. So I know you want to say something about Rudiger as well. So I remind you.
Yeah, many questions on Rudiger, and so I can touch also Real Madrid and Lenny Joro, because for Rudiger, guys, I received many questions about the potential Saudi Pro League move for Tony Rudiger. But what I'm told is that Rudiger is only thinking about Real Madrid. It's true that someone from Saudi started calling to understand the situation of Rudiger, But at the moment, there is absolutely nothing into it, in the sense that Toni Rüdiger is a Real Madrid player, and Real Madrid have no intention to lose Rüdiger. Real Madrid also know that Toni Rüdiger considers them as the best club in the world. So there is nothing into it, and I see Toni Rüdiger staying at the club. While the official announcement is coming for Luka Modric contract extension. As you already know, it was a here we go days ago. Modric is staying one more season. The same is going to happen also with Lucas Vázquez. So both players are staying at the club. There was no doubts on that. And then in terms of centre-back, let me mention two things for Real Madrid. Lenny Joro remains a name on the list of Real Madrid for this summer. Real Madrid like Lenny Joro. Real Madrid want Lenny Joro, and Lenny Joro considers Real Madrid as the priority for his future. But it's also true that Paris Saint-Germain like the player. Liverpool, I'm told, Liverpool also like the player. So all these clubs are showing their appreciation for Joro. It's crucial to understand how much Lille really want to let him go this summer. This is the crucial point to understand if Joro can go to Real Madrid or not. Remember, he has 1 year left on his contract. So Joro will wait for Real Madrid. Otherwise, he will consider other options if they can't sign him. This is the point on Joro. Let me say also Real Madrid that they are still waiting for the final decision of Alphonso Davies on his contract renewal. Because Alphonso Davies has a new contract proposal from Bayern on the table. But even today, I was checking, Alphonso has still not replied to Bayern proposal. So everything is really open around Alphonso Davies, and this is why Bayern are waiting, but also Real Madrid are waiting. Because if Alphonso Davies doesn't extend his contract, Bayern, Real Madrid will be there. Real Madrid are prepared to be part of the story only if Alphonso doesn't extend his contract. So keep close eye also on Alphonso Davies.
Okay, for the last 3 minutes of today's stream, I don't know if there is something else that you wanted to say. We mentioned all the points we discussed before. So Bayern, Borussia Dortmund situation with a new manager, Nuri Sahin.
Let me see some questions. I will reply to some quick questions I see in the chat.
Vlahovic future.
No, Vlahovic at the moment is very happy at Juventus. There is nothing at all. Left back Chelsea, my friend. Chelsea are now busy with Duran and Olise. I told you. If I know something on left back, I will let you know. Victor Osimhen still planning to leave Napoli. This is the point. Still planning to leave Napoli. But for Victor Osimhen, we have to wait and see which club would be really prepared to pay that money. Remember, there is a release clause, 120 million euros. So it really depends on that. What is happening with Calafiori? At the moment, Bologna are playing a really hard game to let Calafiori leave. It's not that easy. Juventus are pushing a lot, and Juventus already have the green light from the player, but not from Bologna at this point. So it's not an easy deal, but Juventus are still the main favorites to sign Riccardo Calafiori. I see many questions on Varane. I can confirm that Inter Miami called the people close to the player to ask about the conditions of the deal, but that's it. At the moment, Varane has not agreed anything with Inter Miami, so he remains available as a free agent. Let's see. Eki Fernandez to Porto from Boca. There is a negotiation ongoing, but I'm told there is not an easy one. So they're still discussing club to club, but it's not that easy. Pavlidis, Benfica, he's the priority of Benfica. Some Italian clubs are trying to enter the story, so there is also interest from Italy for Pavlidis, but Benfica are the favorites. They offered 17 million euros plus 2 in add-ons for Pavlidis, and so negotiations are ongoing. João Neves, Liverpool, at the moment, my friend, what I'm told on João Neves is that Benfica want to keep the player unless someone pays 120 million euros. So I think it's going to be a difficult mission for English clubs, but this is the price. So let's see what's gonna happen there. Gyökeres news at the moment, no, not yet, guys. And I think is almost everything. On Bruno Guimaraes, I see a question from Kingi. Thank you to all of you guys for sending your questions and for joining the chat. On him, I wanted to mention something because I think it's an important. Look, what he's asking Salah. No, at the moment on Solano news, I was saying to Kingi, what was the question? I forgot. Sorry, my brain is gone. Let me find it again. Let me find again. No, it was a nice one. I wanted to reply to that one. I have it there. Look. Let me see. Let me find that. I like this question. If you are still with us, and ask the question again. Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, because yesterday night there were some rumors on social media of release clause triggered by Manchester City for Bruno Guimaraes. The release clause of Bruno Guimaraes is valid until day 23 of June at midnight, so almost day 24 of June. There are 11 days to trigger the release clause of Bruno Guimaraes. What I can guarantee as of now is that Manchester City and also other clubs at the moment have not triggered the clause of Bruno and are not negotiating to trigger the clause of Bruno. So at the moment, it's not about triggering the clause. The interest is there from English clubs and still from Paris Saint-Germain. They had Bruno in their list in January, but the only way to make it happen is for this club at the moment to try to negotiate with Newcastle, because at the moment they all believe that triggering the clause is not easy in terms of financials. So let's see, guys. But what I can guarantee at the moment is that Manchester City have never triggered the clause of Bruno Guimaraes. The interest from many clubs is there, Premier League, PSG, but at the moment not triggering the release clause. So Newcastle fans can still hope to keep Bruno Guimaraes at the club, but I think also after the end of the release clause, so after day 24 of June, there is still going to be strong interest in Bruno Guimaraes. So the summer is going to be long for this story.
And we are going to be here to tell all of them, because that was only the first episode of our stream. We will be back next week.
Remember, that we will also do that for breaking news, and we will also do that in Italian and in Spanish. So we will be here together with many updates, with many news. Remember, as we were saying before, to download the app of Playback to sign up, because it's for free. So you can ask your questions.
You can ask all the questions you want. Next time we will try to answer even more, but it's not easy because you are sending millions of questions every single minute. But we will try. Thanks for that, and nothing. That's it.
They ask Roma News, Bellanova is top
Roma
target.
News, dobbiamo dirgli qualcosa perché
Roma Bellanova is the right back they want to sign. The right back is Bellanova. So work in progress for Bellanova to Roma, but guys, we'll be really, really busy in the next days. So we will stay in touch here as always. Don't worry, Tottenham fans. I will come also with something for you.
The summer is long. Don't worry.
I think Tottenham are working for something also in the midfield, not just offensive player and defensive players. I think also in the midfield something could happen. And Tottenham signed Bergvall in the midfield, so he's coming and it's going to be an exciting one. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you, and see you soon here on Playback.
Ciao.